Hey guys, it's Tiffany of Tough Angel Books, and this is the gush part of my book talk. So, I recently finished reading, listening to actually, In Real Life, Love, Lies, and Identity in the Digital Age by Neve Schulman, who is also the co-host to Catfish and Suspect, both on MTV, so I strongly recommend checking them out. I had mentioned in the spoiler-free version that I put this as a 3.5 star on Goodreads, and here is the main reason why. So the main reason why is actually between chapters 15 and 19. Just about every paragraph, it feels like the book is about to end, but this is a 25 chapter book, so you can see what the problem with that is. In this, he talks about how he met his catfish, and at the time, Facebook did not exist when his catfish started, when his catfish started contacting him. His catfish started talking to him through MySpace, which if you're not from my generation or older, you have no clue what MySpace is. Sad part is, there's a MySpace app. I am so happy I completely forgot what my login was. Or what my email for that was. Jeez. During the time he met his catfish, he had just started working as a professional photographer, doing photography jobs for weddings and ballets and that. But before all this, he actually ruined a lot of relationships, like his mother's relationship with Sarah Lawrence, which is a very good college, which is actually a really good college in New York. So he ruined that relationship, and then he just, and then it just kind of goes from there. And at this point, he spends a lot of time bouncing back and forth between the TV show, his experience, and his life, which is another thing I wasn't a big fan of, but the way he did it sometimes actually worked, because he talked about the 5 different kinds of catfish, which is the Serrano catfish, where the only thing that actually changes is the appearance of what the person is. So, like, if someone actually likes the way I look and like my name, but I don't like a lot of things about my past, I will actually change that about my past. And, that's what Serrano catfish do. Then there's the revenge catfish, people who make up accounts just to get revenge and payback. The benevolent catfish, the ones who don't actually mean to do harm but end up doing harm. The swindling catfish, those who are just in it for money. And then there's also the celebrity imposters catfish. Need I say more? And so he talks about how, Megan was such an important part of his life, and then when he actually went to go meet her, it's like, and he says this in the show too, it's actually pretty well known, especially if you've watched the Catfish documentary that his brother and friend made about him. And like, his catfish ended up being someone completely different. This catfish had like a family, and this person was everyone. A lot of the times he did end up spending a lot of time just like going like, here's a bunch of rules. That wasn't exactly something I liked. A lot of the things he said did make sense, but for the most part, if you're going to like make a list of rules for the internet, I would actually recommend doing something like just having a chapter for the rules. That's something I would do. I would just have had one chapter going like rules of the internet, or rules to live by on the internet, like stuff like that, because he did actually have a few good rules, like, remember you're talking to a real person, so you do have to remember that the comments you say online aren't to a fictional character. You aren't playing a video game. It is to a real person. Another one was don't say anything online that you wouldn't say to someone's face. So like before you post something, say it out loud. Imagine you're saying it to this person's face. Now imagine how that person would react to it. If it's mean, they'll probably be offended. If it's rude, they'll probably get hurt. If it's nice, they'll probably take it as a compliment and just go from there. So be very, very aware of what you post. Like when you go on like a rant or something on the internet, don't post it anonymously, because that's actually viewed as cowardly. Like if you have an opinion, if you have a stance on something, put your face and name to it, because a lot of people might actually agree with what you have to say, but because you decided to do it anonymously, no one can agree with you. No one can go by name say, oh yeah, hey Jim, you're completely right about that. And also another one he actually came up with, which is something that I think everyone on Twitter needs to listen to. Don't pick fights for the sake of entertainment. Seriously, that is a messed up way to do things on the internet. I've never understood why people do that. He talks about his experience with catfish and about how, like, there was actually one point he seriously injured actually one of his best friends, and because of that his brother more or less broke up with him for quite a few years because he was being aggressive. He was being, condescending and rude, and instead of actually listening to his subconsciousness, which is telling him, walk away, calm down, you don't need to keep doing this, he ignored it a lot of the time. And this is before the Neve that we know on Catfish and we know on Suspect. But he brings up a lot of good points, like, when you go out with friends, put your phone somewhere where you can't get to it unless it's a very important phone call. Like if your mother is calling or your boss is calling. But other than that, spend time with the people you're with. If they're not respecting that, tell them. If they continue to not respect that, then you don't need to spend time with them. It's like he brought up a lot of good points, and I ended up with 3 pages of notes on this audiobook. And it was so well done and so well written that it has a lot of good life lessons that everyone needs to learn. Like, when you apologize, show that you're sorry. Don't just say that you're sorry. You apologize, mean what you say. Don't just say, oh, I'm sorry, I'll never do it again. Mean what you say. When you apologize and say you'll never do something again, don't do it again. Like when you hurt someone's feelings, I'm very sorry, I said that, I didn't mean it that way. I will try and watch what I do, well, watch what I say, and then just go from there. It's like he has a lot of good points, and it's just like the number one thing that actually stuck with me in this thing was at a point there was a chapter called Repeat After Me, where the first 2 sentences of the chapter was repeat after me, I am awesome. And it was just about self-love and a way to just kind of get yourself to realize that you are awesome just the way you are, and you don't need confirmation from other people. You really don't, because you are awesome. And like, I could go on a rant about this, I could go on a tangent about this, but I'm not going to do that because I do need to breathe and I do need to actually get some reading done today. But I would strongly recommend checking out this book, because even though that I did have a few big problems with it, like there were 4 or 5 sections of rules that were randomly thrown in, I would have actually just put it all in one chapter towards the end of the book, because then it's a good way to close out. Just kind of wrap it all up, sum it all together, so on. But with that in mind, I am going to end the book talk here. I would strongly recommend checking it out. You can check it out on Audible. You can probably find it in most bookstores, or you can get the ebook off of Amazon. That is all for this video. Leave a comment down below. What did you think of a couple of the rules I mentioned, of the entire storyline? I know I didn't go too deep, but I don't actually like editing very long videos, so sorry. But leave a comment down below your thoughts and opinions on everything I talked about, and hit the thumbs up if you became very interested in what I said, even though this is a spoiler-filled video. I post new videos every Thursday, guaranteed, so if you want to check those out, hit the subscribe button, and you will hopefully be notified when I post new videos. You can tweet your thoughts and opinions at Tough Angel Books on Twitter, which is my Twitter. And until next time, happy reading!